listeners. Today's date is June 29th, 2022, and this is episode number 67 of eBay the Right Way. Sommer is my guest today, and she is my first guest located in South Dakota. I'm slowly making my way around the globe with guests from different locations and from all walks of life. Before we start, I have a fun story sent in by a listener. Lucretia sent me a message that said, I had a story I had to tell, but it was too long to put it on Facebook for you to see. First of all, I listen to your podcast every Wednesday. So thank you so much for that, Lucretia. One day I had my 9-year-old niece and was playing it in my car. She said, "Hey, I love to listen to that eBay girl." Now, every time we go somewhere, she wants to listen to the eBay girl. She has been growing up knowing that I sell on eBay. And the next story was about her grandchildren. Lucretia started selling in February of 2002, so I have been selling most of my grandchildren's lives. One of the boys is now 23 and started selling games, shoes, etc. in high school and still does every now and then. He's not in it big, but still loves it due to watching me most of his life. Another story is my 19-year-old grandson is going to the University of West Virginia. He texted me the other day to tell me he found these stores called Goodwill Bins. He said he found shirts for him, but got to noticing there were really good brands of Ralph Lauren, etc. His mother has brought him up knowing brands. Anyway, he said they had lots of nice shirts that were too big for him, but he bought them anyway. I talked him through opening an eBay store and listing the items. To my shock, last night he sent me a link to his store. He had listed 4 shirts and the listing looked great. I know this is long, but wanted to share with you because I know you get how proud I feel. I also have just signed up for your premium library. I've sold over 20 years now and have probably seen everything. I've even taught people the eBay world, but I know I can still learn a lot from you. Thanks again, Lucretia. So, lots going on in that message. The first thing I want to do here is give a shout out to Lucretia's niece, Carson. And Carson, you might be my youngest listener. And I know you will grow up to be a successful eBay seller because you are paying attention right now. You're going to be so smart about eBay and reselling once you are old enough to have your own account. You're really smart now because you are listening to grown-up things that will help you in the future. So thank you, Carson. I appreciate you. And you can tell all your friends at school that you are famous now. You got a shout out on this podcast. So maybe your friends will start listening too. And all of you guys can grow up together and be wonderful, successful resellers. Okay, and then back to Lucretia. I just want to commend you on helping those around you learn eBay, especially the young people, because they are more receptive to technology and the whole idea of reselling because those 20-year-olds have heard about it all their life, have heard about eBay and online selling. So you're a very important part of them grasping that concept. You are teaching by example. They see what you're doing. And I know you feel this way too. I'm just really passionate about teaching eBay as a skill because it's something you can fall back on at any time of your life when you need or want extra money. Anybody of any age can do it, and there's no barriers to entry. You can start today. So you've really had an impact on those around you, and I just commend you for being a leader and showing those younger people what can be done. Okay, all of that being said, let's now get into the chat with Sommer.
Okay, listeners, today we have Sommer with us. It's summer and we have Sommer. So say hi to everybody.
Hello.
And this is our second attempt because our first scheduled meeting was interrupted by too much outside noise. So we're going to get it right on this one.
Yes.
So first of all, let's talk about where you're located.
So I live in Western South Dakota, pretty close to Mount Rushmore. So we're in the throes of tourist season here with lots of traffic and extra high gas prices.
Mm-hmm.
I actually grew up here and moved away for a while and moved back about 7 years ago with my family. So it's nice to be in a smaller metro area. We're not really a metro, maybe 100,000 people, but it seems like a big city here in South Dakota.
And you are on Mountain Time, or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were in Iowa. I guess I get those two states confused because my geography knowledge of anything west of the Mississippi is terrible. I always have to look at the map, see where things are. But wow, living close to Mount Rushmore. How many times have you been there?
Oh, so many. It's wonderful though. It never gets old. It's just such I don't know, it's just a majestic monument. And my kids always beg to go there because there's an ice cream place and they claim to use the original homemade ice cream recipe that Thomas Jefferson created.
Oh.
So it's actually extremely good.
Well, you have just given me a reason to put Mount Rushmore on my bucket list.
There you go. The ice cream is worth it.
I can't even imagine how big it is.
Yeah, it's overwhelming almost. They have a museum where they have I don't know, parts that they've recarved so you can get an idea for the scale. And one of the eyes is over 6 feet tall. It's kind of wild. The remake
How
of the
tall
eyes.
are the actual heads?
I don't know. I don't remember. I haven't been up there and looked at the museum in a while. I just remember that eye.
That's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Well,
but it's pretty cool. You should definitely try and go up sometime because it's overwhelming. No matter how many times you go, it's just majestic.
Yeah, I'm working on expanding my geography knowledge because when you visit somewhere, then you learn about it and you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
That's really interesting that you live so close. I don't think I've ever known anyone that's lived in South Dakota in that area. So,
yeah, I get that a lot.
So now I have to ask you, obviously there's plenty of thrifting and garage sales and all of that because you do very well on eBay. And I think of South Dakota as not very populated.
It's not, but I don't know. I think I was really worried about that when we moved here because we lived in Northern Virginia before, right outside Washington, D.C. And we lived in a Falls Church, which is a very high income area.
Yes.
And I had just endless opportunities. And then coming here, I was really scared. When I first moved, my husband had meetings in Denver. And so I was like, I have to go with you and go buy some inventory because I need to it's more of a personal thing. I just want to get my eBay stuff up and going and just have fun with it. And so I went with him and spent a couple of days thrifting, and the stuff was so expensive there that by the time I got home and got it listed and everything, it really wasn't all that profitable. And some of this stuff wasn't even that good. Like I just find way better stuff by just going to the thrift stores here, most of the stuff is pretty cheap. And I would say I don't spend more than, if I spend more than $5 on something, that's a lot, because the thrift stores are really reasonable.
Now I'm looking at the
So-
map, Rapid City to Denver. They're not real close together. So did you fly?
I think we drove. It's about 6 hours.
Okay.
It's not a bad drive. I mean, nothing is really closer than 5-6 hours here.
So you were able to fill up a vehicle. You didn't have to worry about flying back with.
Right. Yeah. I just got as much as I could to try and see, but I haven't done that since. I mean, I'll drop into a thrift store. We travel a decent amount because both of my kids play travel hockey. So we've been in Minneapolis this summer already, maybe like 5 times. So
Oh my.
I went into the Goodwill that was near our hotel, but even that, I was like, I have stuff that's just as good as this at home. So
Yeah.
I don't always go thrifting when I'm gone, but sometimes I just need to.
That's always a concern is, am I going to find anything? Because even in Atlanta, which we have so many thrift stores, I can't do more than 2 or 3 in a day. It's because
Mhm.
there's so much in there to go through.
Yeah.
But lately, with our weird times that we're living in, it's sometimes they just don't have anything out. The shelves are bare. And
Yep.
it's not because they aren't getting donations, it's they can't keep employees to do the work to put everything on the shelves.
Yeah. My mom works at the Salvation Army here. And she's a big lady who's big into antiques and stuff. And for the last 2 years, they haven't been able to keep a full staff. It's been really hard because they have so much back inventory and there's just no one to put it out. So it's even there for a while. They've kind of ramped back up. They work with one of the it's like a minimum security jail here in town, and they
Mhm.
allow the inmates to have jobs. So they have maybe, I don't know, 10 guys that work there who help with processing donations and things like that. And they're finally been able to bring those back on staff within like the last 6 months, but it was very difficult for them to get their inventory back out on the floor. So I feel for all the businesses. It's just been crazy times.
Yeah,
So crazy.
It's not a lack of product; it's a lack of service jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you can see the intake room is just filled to the top,
Oh yeah, they're stacked to the
stuff
ceiling.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it's wild.
okay.
But
And so a note to the listeners, I wish you could see Sommer because she has on the most beautiful sea green top and her eyes match it perfectly. I'm just like, did you do that on purpose?
I didn't. That's funny. I didn't even notice. That's
She has
funny.
the most beautiful green eyes that are just, maybe we'll put a picture on Facebook when we post this
Okay.
for everyone to see.
Sure.
So you're all matchy with your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just a visual, giving everyone a visual. But so the next question is, what got you started selling on eBay? What was the catalyst that said, okay, I'm doing this now?
So I started selling on eBay. I still remember the first thing I ever purchased on eBay, and that was in like 2000. I bought a Bonanza, the old Western show Bonanza.
Mhm.
They have a Christmas album, and that was always like our family tradition. My mom's family growing up, and then there were moves of grandparents and things, and the like record was lost. So that was the first thing I ever bought on eBay, and I was so excited. I was in college, and I was like looking for a Christmas present for my mom, and I was so proud. Anyway, so then I didn't really do much with eBay after that until, it must have been 2011. When I was pregnant with my daughter, we had a son already in 2008, and we found out we were having a girl. So I kept everything in case we had another baby. And my husband was like, all right, well, we're having a girl, so you have to get rid of all of this stuff that you saved for this boy. And there was it was a whole room, just totes. I mean, I think baby stuff replicates when it's packed away. So that
Yeah.
was my first foray into eBay. I started selling all the baby boy clothes that I had and all the gear that I didn't need. And so that was really how I got started, just trying to prepare for my daughter's birth and to clear all that stuff out. And then it just kind of became something that I really enjoyed, I guess. I don't know. My husband says I have a special gift for looking at useless things and finding value in them.
Okay, so you're the person when you go to a friend's house for dinner, you're looking at all the stuff on the background and what's on the shelves. I do that with movies and TV shows. And it's just unreal what you see back there that you recognize. I sold that. I've sold that dress that lady's wearing. You know, I've sold that thing that's hanging on the kitchen wall. The McCormick spice rack thing, the wooden rack. I see that all the time in 80s and 90s shows.
Yep.
It's just like, who knew?
Yep.
So you're one of those people. It's like you have, it's not really X-ray vision, but it's just, special vision where you can see things that other people think is junk.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of I'm probably like the 4th generation junker, because my great grandma was super into thrift stores and collecting, and she was an artist, very eccentric. And then my grandmother was the same. She was like known in her town for her massive and like iconic yard sales.
Okay.
So my mom was like an antiquer and a collector and super into bargains and thrifting. And so I don't know, I'm carrying it on, I guess.
So you're like the poster child for reselling.
I kind of come by it honestly, I guess.
By this point, it is in your DNA.
It is. Yeah, it is for sure. But I don't know. It's fun. I enjoy it. And I don't know. I don't like to see things being wasted. So if you can connect someone who's looking for something with something they can't find anywhere else, I think that's valuable. I don't know. I'm a pretty particular shopper for myself. So I primarily shop on eBay. So I know that there's an audience for the things I'm selling because I'm the buyer too.
Right.
So,
well, and speaking of, things that aren't being used, to rehome them so they're not just sitting there for 20 years. When COVID happened and everybody's staying home and we're all watching TV because there's not a whole lot else to do. And then they started charging for all these movies that used to just play for free, like Steel Magnolias and Ferris Bueller and, all those kind of movies that you just put on to keep you company. Yep. And I'm like, really? I'm not paying for these. These used to be on Lifetime all the time for free. Yep. And so I started buying DVDs again. So I have this huge tub of my favorites because, they're like $1 at Goodwill. And I would find ones that I have good music, they're uplifting, or they're the epic ones that have like Far and Away with the beautiful scenery and the period costumes, stuff like that. And so now everything's on everywhere again for free. And I have this big tub of DVDs and it's like, I don't need these now. So I'm redonating them because my fear is gone that like, I'm not gonna have anything to do. I can't watch my favorite friends on TV anymore because they're going to charge me.
I know.
So I started that process the other day and it's like, yeah, that one's on all the time. That one's on all the time. And it's like, but maybe somebody that doesn't do streaming can use these because they're just sitting there and haven't been touched in 6 months.
Yeah.
So that really bugs me too, when I have things I'm not using and I feel like I just need to get that back out there into the world so somebody can use it.
Yeah. And a lot of those things, when you're putting them up on eBay, it surprises me. Some of the things, they just sell so fast. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's been sitting there for this long. I could have had it out of here.
I know. Exactly. So did we talk about the first thing you ever sold?
Oh, I don't know if I remember the first thing I ever sold.
Oh, you said you remember the first thing you ever bought.
That's more important, right? I remember selling one, I don't know if it was the very first thing, but one of the first things I ever sold was this pair of diamond earrings that I got from QVC like years and years before. And I never wore them because they were just huge. They were probably 3 carats each. And no one would ever believe I had 3-carat diamond earrings. And I remember it was one of my first sales, and it was also gave me trouble because the person filed a complaint. It's like, these aren't what you said they were. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's not what I said it was. Does it really matter? I just started selling on eBay, and we were at Disney World with our son, and I'm like managing all these complaints from this person. And I finally was just like, oh my gosh, here, just have your money back. I'm sorry you don't like the earrings, but I'm glad I didn't let that deter me from continuing on eBay.
Look, I need to go get on this roller coaster. I don't have time to argue with you about these earrings.
My husband was like, what?
Here's your money.
Yes. So I don't know. It was,
that's a good one.
I was annoyed, but I was just like, whatever. Okay. They're just earrings, man. I mean, now I realize now it's like, well, yes, that is important to describe.
I had my first coffee mug return this week.
Oh.
And it was a Ray Dunn. It was, I don't want to say it was rare, but it sold for $60.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to put this in my sales update video because what are you going to do? So the measurement in the listing, I said it was 3 inches tall, and she gets it and holds a measuring tape up to it. It was 3.25 inches tall.
Who cares?
So she was like, this, she was just horrified that I'd made such an error. And I thought, oh my gosh, really, just return it. I'll sell it again. It's not a big deal, but it's just sometimes just the nitpickiness of a buyer is just a little over the top, I was like,
yep.
Okay, first time for everything. This is my first coffee mug return ever in my whole eBay history since 2003. First time for everything. Yep. So from now on, I'm going to hold that measuring tape next to the item and take a picture. So, if it's, 3 1/8 inch tall or whatever. And I sell clothing mostly, and the measurements are fine. And I just was like, I can't believe this, but I will admit it was my mistake. I was a quarter of an inch off, but who in the world would have dreamed that would matter on a coffee mug?
Oh, I know. I don't know.
It did.
It's funny. The nice thing about returns, though, is I don't think I've ever had something returned that hasn't sold again. And usually for more, based on your advice, I usually mark it up and then relist it to make up the cost of getting it shipped back and stuff. And it's always sells again. So
there's that.
I don't know. Is what it is.
When it's a higher dollar item and it's already slow. And so that affects your payout. Do you get your payouts weekly or every day, or how do you do it?
I get mine daily. So I don't know. I haven't had a return in a while. I don't know if I've I don't get very many returns.
Yeah, I don't either.
But
maybe
I suppose they just take it out of maybe they just take it out of my checking account if I don't have enough in my payout. I don't even remember how it works. I haven't had one in so long. I just had a return request this week, so I guess I'll see.
Well, I had another return request and the person didn't follow through, and that was for a $40 item. So you're just watching it every day. Are they going to ship it?
I know. Are they going to ship it? Are they going to ship it?
Nope. Time ran out. TikTok. Time ran out.
Sorry.
So that one worked in my favor. But anyway, so what year did you start selling?
So it was 2011.
Okay.
And I've been kind of off and on since then. We have moved a lot. And so I've taken my store down to 0 and rebuilt it probably 3 times in that period.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. eBay is so reliable. I mean, if I'm willing to put in the work, I'm always going to get the payback for it, which is so nice. Right. Because I'm a stay-at-home mom and we have 2 kids who I homeschool, and they both play travel hockey year round. So eBay is so flexible. I mean, I've thought about getting another job outside the home, and I just can't even justify it because if I put the amount of work into eBay that I would be having to go to another job, I would be making the same amount of money. I mean, and I have control over making more if I want to spend more time or do more listings or buy higher dollar items, or, there's so much more flexibility. So I'm still doing eBay, and we kind of use the money for fun. So we're not relying on it to pay bills, which is nice. But my daughter's been begging to go to Disney because everyone's been there except her. So I was able to use the money I made off eBay to take her and my mom to Disney for a week this past March. And so we do fun things with it. So if I have a goal, something I need to buy or want to do, I hit it really hard.
So you're smack in the middle of the country. Which Disney do you go to?
We've gone to Florida.
Hmm.
I don't know if I've been to the one in California, but now my daughter wants to go to Disneyland Paris. So I'm like, well,
yeah, what the heck? Just go to Paris. Easy enough.
Although I keep telling them if they decide they want to quit playing travel hockey, we could go on some really great vacations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how we picked the most
kind of the
expensive
Minneapolis
sport
and
ever.
back is good.
Jeez.
So now the moves, is that from your husband's job?
No, when we relocated from the East Coast out here to South Dakota, I said, well, we're going to have to put all this eBay inventory in the moving truck. And he was like, how about you just start 99-cent auctions and get rid of all of it? So I did that. And I maybe had only 200 listings or so at that point. So then I started over because we moved here. We didn't really know where we were going to live. And then we ended up building a house. So we didn't have our own really home for maybe 9 months or so after we moved. But in one of our rentals, I did start back up because that was when the Target did their collaboration with Lily Pulitzer in 2015 or 2016. So
right.
I was finding all that stuff on clearance here because no one in South Dakota likes Lily Pulitzer. Apparently, it's not like the East Coast.
It isn't a good fit. It's more of a beachy look.
Right. So there was tons of that on clearance at Target, and we also have some stores that sell overstock merchandise from Target. So I was finding the dresses for $3. Okay, I have to buy these.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Lily Pulitzer isn't the dress code for visiting Mount Rushmore.
No, no, more like Patagonia, Columbia.
Yeah.
North Face.
Yeah. So that's a national park. Do they have hiking and other stuff there?
Yep. We have the Black Hills National Forest and lots of hiking. People bring their side-by-sides and stuff out here and do a lot of off-roading in the hills and trail rides and lots of camping, and it's very outdoorsy.
Yeah, so you need Columbia and Patagonia and those pants that zip off into shorts.
Yes, Eddie Bauer pants with the zip
backpacks and camping stuff, and not Lily Pulitzer.
No. But that's good because people don't wear their stuff out before they donate it. So I'm able to find some nice outdoor brands to resell. Lately, I sold a Cool, I think is how you say it, KUHL fleece jacket.
Cool. I have heard of that.
And that was a couple dollars, $3 maybe. And I think I sold it for $70 within not that long, a month or something. It was men's and it was only a size small. So I tried to give it to my son and he was like, I don't want that. So it sold for $70. Probably would have sold for more if it was a larger size, but I was happy with that.
And I bet you see a lot of hiking boots and water sandals and Teva and Merrell and Chacos and all that stuff.
Well, the footwear I feel like it's pretty worn out by the time people donate it here. They must wear their shoes more than they wear their jackets and shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't sell a lot of the footwear. Sometimes I find a lot of kids' Keen sandals. Those are pretty popular. But then I usually give them to my kids and then they wear them out. So I don't sell them.
Well, and how old are your kids?
So they're 10 and 14. So I don't know. They're starting to the ages where they're pretty hard on stuff. They haven't been wearing out things very much, but now they're starting to not grow as fast. So
Well, and your son is just at the end of the growing so fast you can't wear it out boy stage. I made a lot of good money when my son was 11 to 14 because you have to buy shoes that aren't going to fall apart.
yeah,
And you buy those nice shoes and next 3 months down the road don't fit. Okay, well, let's sell these and then we'll buy another, we'll buy you something else. So,
I know.
and moms with kids that age, they're looking for those gently worn things because who wants to pay $80 for kids' shoes?
No, it's ridiculous. When he's in men's sizes now in shoes, and men's shoes are so much more expensive than boys.
I know. Once you get up into the men's size, and it's like, I need to take out a loan to put shoes on my kids' feet. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and he needs the good workout shoes because he's always going to workouts and running and all this stuff. It's like, wow, whatever. It is what it is.
Yay for eBay.
I know, right?
So all the listeners out there that have boys, not so much girls, boys are harder on their clothes and shoes, I think. I had one of each, and that's just what I saw. But all the moms out there that have boys in that 11 to 14 age group, don't donate those clothes, sell them, because even lower end brands will sell for good money because it's still cheaper than brand new.
Yep. I know. I feel like I have good luck mostly lotting his stuff up. So if it's like a bunch of shorts that he outgrew, I get so much more selling it as a giant set, which I would rather just buy 10 pairs all at once too. So I understand that, but it's nice to just have a giant mountain of, I think I just got all my mountain of outgrown clothes listed, and most of it's already sold. It didn't take that long, maybe 6 weeks for most of it to go, which is awesome because that takes up a lot of space when it's closet clean out time for the kids.
Well, I just think it's great that all of this is being passed around and everything's given a new life and it's not going to the landfill. Because our Goodwills here in Georgia, the items on the shelves only get, I think it's 5 weeks, and then it goes to the landfill.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. It just goes in the garbage. And it's like, it makes me sick. Well, let me rephrase that. Some of it goes to the bins in other states.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of it just gets thrown, like the glassware and things that won't travel well. You can hear them in the back throwing it away.
Yeah.
Just tossing it into these dumpsters and just all these loud crashes and stuff. But, or some of it gets bundled and shipped to other countries. But a lot of it just gets thrown out.
Yeah.
So it's sickening. But anyway, let's talk about some of your fun sales.
Oh, some of my fun sales. All right. Well, this made me go through all my sales since I started. And I was trying to figure out like what my highest dollar sales were and what my most interesting sales or weirdest sales.
Well, I have to insert some applause here that you even have records to look at.
Oh,
good for you.
Thanks to you, Suzanne. I will say my husband's an accountant and he makes me hire an accountant because he won't deal with my eBay business accounting. So
is that
I'm not very good at it.
You don't keep good enough records for him, or?
Well, I think I keep good records, but I am I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place. It's hard for me to be consistent, and he's been a corporate accountant for 20 years. So my inconsistency just gives him a lot of anxiety. So he'd rather just pay someone.
That might be part of saving the marriage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, I'd rather pay someone than fight with you over this because it's not worth it.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, but I don't know. I think this year we're going to do we've had to file an extension for some other stuff that was going on, but I think he's going to give it another shot because I was tired of paying the accountant feeling like I could probably just do as good of a job as she did.
Mhm.
So I stepped up my bookkeeping reliability. So we're going to try again. We'll see. I don't know. I was one of the people who had been using GoDaddy for the last 10 years for my
Mhm.
accounting, and they're gone as of 5 days, I guess. 5 days. The 23rd, how many days is that? For 7 days, they're done.
Mhm.
So I signed up for my reseller, Jeannie, which is an accountant and a reseller. So I thought maybe someone else's husband might want to just deal with my account.
Well, and that's a question I get a
But
lot is
I don't know.
I used to have a bookkeeping spreadsheet that I offered, but it just kind of became obsolete. And then with managed payments, it got weird. And so last year I took a hard look at what do I really enjoy teaching, and
Yeah.
bookkeeping is not it. I would sit down to do a video about bookkeeping and literally get a stomach ache and just I don't want to do this. And the videos wouldn't get very many views. Like people they don't want to watch a video about that. They just want to go to a program and put their numbers in or have a CPA. So for the listeners out there, that's why I don't offer anything that has to do with bookkeeping. What I say is Google it. There are a lot of things available for eBay sellers now. I mean, in the last 5 years, so many new things have come up, and just try different ones and see what you like, because everybody's bookkeeping knowledge, skills are different, and you've got to find something that you like and that you will use. It makes no sense to pay money every month for something just so you can say, I use this bookkeeping. If you don't use it and you don't look at the numbers and use the numbers to make better decisions about your business, that's what it's for, not just taxes, but like, what categories am I selling the most in? What's most profitable for me? All that kind of stuff. And sometimes you assume it's one thing, but then you look at your data and it's something else. So you want to do more of what is working and do less of what is not. So that's my commercial for bookkeeping.
It's not fun, but it is what it is. You have to do it. Anyway, so I did buy that spreadsheet you used to sell or recommend. I used that for a long time along with GoDaddy, but then I don't know, I kind of moved away from that and did my own thing. But anyway.
Did they say why they discontinued GoDaddy?
From my understanding, they were just looking at focusing on other aspects of the business, because they do a lot, I think a lot of web hosting and other business services too. So it probably just wasn't very profitable. I think I only paid $10 a month, and it was it was great. It synced with eBay automatically. It synced with my bank account. It did so much made all my tax forms for me. But so it probably just wasn't profitable.
And the best thing I can recommend about choosing a bookkeeping service is make sure it has human beings that help you. Like when you, like, it's not just a chat help where you put in your keywords and you get these automated answers. Make sure there's people that you can call or email when you have questions and need help. Because accounting is overwhelming to a lot of people, like numbers, and people just, they start sweating and fainting and throwing up and like, what am I going to do? And if you have a person you can contact, like, hey, I don't understand this. What does this mean? And have a person talk to you. That is so much better than this automated stuff, because the automation doesn't listen to your problem. They just have keywords they're looking for, and they give you this answer, and it may not be what you need.
Yep, it's true. So I don't know, back to the interesting sales.
Yes.
I think the weirdest thing I ever sold, I mean, it's not a weird item, but I thought it was a strange thing to sell. It went to Sweden, and I was sort of dabbling in retail arbitrage from like Walgreens clearance and other drugstores. And there were these 2 boxes of tampons, and I was like,
I knew you were
"Oh."
going to say something
Yeah.
about that.
Stupid. They were marked down pretty cheap, and I looked up the comps, and it wasn't huge, but I thought, well, I don't know, maybe it's work. I'm going to try it and see what happens. And they were listed forever. They were listed for a really long time, like probably a year, maybe even more. And
Mhm.
finally, someone bought them in Sweden. I was like, what? There's regular old Tampax, and I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get them. I still have no idea. But someone, they needed them. They paid a lot to ship them. I don't think I even sold them for that much. Maybe like $15 or something. It was a very low dollar sale, but I was like, wow, that was interesting. I don't know why, but that was strange.
Okay. I've
And
heard that
then,
before, the feminine
uh,
products.
yes. And I took a chance the other day on a Betamax tape. Do you remember Betamax tapes from
Oh,
like the
yes.
80s?
We had one when they first came out. My mother bought one. And then VHS came out, what, 6 months later?
Yeah, it wasn't that much longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I bought a Betamax of The Princess Bride. And I feel like The Princess Bride has kind of a cult following, sort
Yes.
of. And there were no comps. There were none on eBay. There were none sold. I couldn't even find that they existed ever in the past. So I just threw it up for like $70, and someone bought it. $60. I think I paid 25 cents for it. So that was really cool. I just like selling strange stuff.
I know it's almost
Unique
a
things.
challenge. It's like the
Uh-huh.
challenge of the weird thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if anybody wants this, you
Yeah.
know?
And they did. I was
They
like,
did.
wow, it's cool. What else have I sold? I sell a lot of books too. I sell a lot of books, and I used to primarily be a clothing seller just because I had access to a lot, and it was usually $1 or less per piece. But I don't know, I've kind of moved away from that, and I sell a lot more books, and I've started picking up vintage computer games like from the 80s and 90s when I can find them. And those are really good sellers because they're cheap. I mean, yeah, I can usually get them for $1 or $2. And I don't think I've had one sell for less than $50. And a lot of times they go overseas, which is interesting. So they go to Europe. I've sold some to the Philippines, Australia, I think Belgium. Last week I sold one to someone in Belgium. So I don't know why they maybe have more vintage computer systems, or maybe there's more collectors there. I don't know, but
Are there
kind of interesting.
certain ones you always look for?
Not really. I'll just kind of like, it seems like the ones that are made for Mac sell faster, but the PC ones also sell. And I don't know anything about these games. I just, if the boxes are in good shape, I buy them and kind of check them out when I get home. I figure if it's not all there, I lot them out $1, you know.
So you're not talking about vintage like Atari and those really old systems. You're talking about PC and
PC games. I would have never thought it would be.
Okay, well, that's interesting because I know there's a whole world of like the very first video games. I mean, we had an Atari, Frogger, Pac-Man, all Asteroids, all those. And then that's a whole market on its own. And I never see those in my thrift stores.
No, I don't either.
And then there's like my kids' generation, which I guess they started playing video games around 2000 with the Wii and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they did do some on the computer because we would have to, I was like, okay, I got to list my eBay stuff. Y'all got to get off.
Nice.
We had one computer in the house and now there's like one in every room. But, they had some little Fisher Price kids games and Play School kids games. And so you're finding those, it's like the CD-ROM in the.
Or sometimes even the floppy disks, like the big floppy disk, the 5.5 inch. Sometimes it's those little floppy hard disks. Like, I don't know, those 3-inch but it's kind of, I don't know.
A floppy disk that is actually floppy. Yeah. And they would call it a floppy disk, even though it wasn't floppy, it was a hard plastic thing, but Yeah, I've kind of been intimidated to get into that because I thought you had to know so much, but that is a
I
great
don't.
item for not having to measure it. You can list it very quickly,
Yeah.
easy to ship, and doesn't take up
Yep.
much room.
I take a lot of pictures, and I think in some of them I even say, like, I'm not a collector. I'm just describing this as best as I can based on what I see. If you have questions, please email me if there's something specific you want to see. And no one has ever really reached out. I just like overload the listing with information, and I don't know. It seems kind of cool, but
Well, that's a great tip.
yeah, I like it. Whenever I see some, I'm always excited.
Now, what about books? Are there certain things you're drawn to there?
Well, my kids and I are both big readers. I would say I try and focus on like series of books, or big lots or sets, just because it's more efficient. I mean, it seems like they sell faster than if I'm trying to sell one book at a time. Sometimes there will be a book that's higher value and I'll do like one-off books, but I don't do single books very often. I sell a lot of homeschool books because we homeschool. So anytime I see homeschool curriculum, I always pick that up to see if I want to use it with my own kids. And then if it's not something that we're going to use, I'll pass it on. So I'll sell that on eBay, which is homeschool curriculum is a huge part of what I do. I mean, if I can find the inventory, when I buy it, it always sells really fast. So I enjoy selling that because I feel like I'm getting a really good deal for myself if I want to keep it. But if I'm not, people are very particular in the homeschool community about what they want to use for their own children. So if you have obscure materials that are no longer printed or something like that, you can make some really good money. Even old editions of math books and things like that.
How do you know when it's obsolete? I guess you just look up comps and see. I mean, it could be 10 years old and still usable.
Oh, yeah. I sell stuff that's older than that regularly.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Some people even have a preference for the original books. I don't know. We use a particular math curriculum called Saxon math. And there are people who are crazy and not crazy, but like crazy about the editions that they use because they've made changes over the years.
They're very committed to that brand.
Oh yeah. I mean, they will only use like first edition or second edition. So if you find like a test book or an answer key or something like that for one of those older editions, it's hard to find them to match the older sets. So that's something that's always like, I'll take that. Give me it.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, I'm sure they have these everywhere, but they have homeschool book fair. I don't know what you call it. It's like you bring your stuff and you sell it, and it's just it's not really a convention. It's just a what's the name I'm looking for here?
Oh yeah, like we have like curriculum sale, or they have like a homeschool expo here.
Expo, yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah, they'll have a big area where they're selling old curriculum and stuff like that. Yeah, I've gotten some really good deals at those.
Well, and that somebody mentioned that, oh, we're having this homeschool expo. You should come buy stuff to resell. And I'm like, I would be completely overwhelmed. I wouldn't know what to buy.
And a lot of times I'll just get, huge boxes, whatever's left over or something. If I come across it, like, well, how much? I'll just buy all of it. How much for all of it? And then I can kind of weed through it at home. Because it is, even as a homeschooler, it's overwhelming to have to figure all that out.
And I
in
think
the wild.
The homeschool materials, that's like a sleeping giant. People don't realize how much it's needed. Especially, here we are, COVID again, and a lot of people went to homeschool because they didn't want to do what the public school required. They didn't want their kids sitting there with a mask on for 8 hours. It's no wonder they are hyper and they act up. It's like they're all suffocating.
Yes.
So I think that's overlooked. And if you have the patience to look through the books at a thrift store or even a used bookstore and just learn that, which you've given me some ideas here, things to learn, because I'm always looking for new categories to sell in, just explore and see if I like it. Tried golf clubs, not doing it.
I've thought about that after watching Casey's videos and watching his sales and hearing him visit with you. I'm like, I should go look at those golf clubs. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. And Lego, that's overwhelming to me too. It's you have to love sorting and figuring all that out. And I don't. Now I do love the plush. I have really refine that category. Now I'm really only looking for the little ones that are maybe 6 inches.
Okay.
Or the giant ones.
Right.
Or of course the high dollar in between, but those little valuable ones, they fall to the bottom. So you have to dig for those.
You do. Yeah. I think I sold one of those huge plush cats. It was like 5 feet long. A few years ago, and I was so excited. I found it at a yard sale for like 25 cents. It was huge. And I was like, I'll try it. And it sold for a lot, $80 something, I think.
Nice.
I had never really sold anything like that, but I'd heard you talk about giant plush, and I feel like it went to Germany or something different. I don't remember for sure, but I feel like it shipped overseas somewhere, which I was really surprised because the shipping was high, but happy to do it. I think out of my like 50 highest sales, 10% of them have gone overseas. So if I wasn't doing international shipping, I would have lost out on some. My biggest sale ever went to Italy. So, and it was just a huge set of like mod era Barbies that I bought on a whim to try and figure out Barbies. And then I got overwhelmed, and some of them had chewed on feet, or they were missing an arm or random stuff. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that I paid $25 for this tote full of Barbies. So I listed it all in a lot and put it on auction because I just wanted my $25 back. And it went up to $811.
Oh, you are kidding.
Yes.
Do you know if it was because of like one certain thing in there, or was it just the combination of everything?
Well, I asked this person who was the second runner up to the auction, messaged me and said, hey, if this person doesn't pay, let me know and I'll pay whatever they paid. And the person did pay. But I said, why is this lot of Barbies so valuable? And she said that there were 3 or 4 in there that were in their original outfits. Oh. And one was called like Baggy Skipper, and I don't remember all the others, but I don't know. I was scared because they were going to Italy, and you're not allowed to ship toys to Italy unless they're wooden. And so I thought for sure it was going to get like taken in customs, or I didn't know. I just like said a prayer and shipped out the box. And I think maybe it went through GSP, because at that point I didn't do direct international shipping. I think it went through global shipping program. And so I called eBay and I was like, look, I don't know what to do. And she said, well, if something happens on the Italy side, you're not going to be liable for it since it's through GSP. So eBay will, back the sale or whatever. So I was like, okay. But then the person gave me good feedback and almost passed out.
So apparently your guardian angel Barbie was in that lot.
Something. I don't know. I was so scared for like 3 weeks until it got there. I was just praying about it every day. Like,
wow, that is a lot of money for some plastic.
Oh, I think there were like 20 dolls in there. So when you break it down, but I don't know, whatever.
That's an amazing story.
An Italian person with some awesome Barbies.
Or it could have been an American living over there.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. So that was pretty fun. But, right about the same time, I sold one of those vintage Patagonia fleeces for like 200 something on auction. And that was pretty cool because I got that and it was in terrible shape. It was covered in dog hair. It was all matted down. It had some bald spots, and someone bought that in Japan. Like, why do you want this thing?
I mean, did you try to remove the dog hair, or was it just
I washed it and lint rolled it and tried to do some shaving on the bad dog hair. I got most of it off, I think, but when I bought it, it was like, oh my gosh, really bad shape. It was like a yard sale, like fill a bag of clothes for $5. So I shoved in a Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress.
A vintage one or a more recent one?
It was recent, but it was still pretty cool. That and that Patagonia and like a vintage Victoria's Secret satin robe, like some other random stuff. It was a churchyard sale, like fundraiser for their school.
Uh-huh.
And they haven't had one again because I'd be the first one in line. I made a lot of money off that yard sale.
Isn't it funny how you remember where you got things? It's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, this was that day. It was storming and I had Chick-fil-A for lunch. And then I went to this place, and it's like you remember the whole day and what you found where.
Yep. It's kind of fun. So I don't know. I do love eBay.
So you just are an everything seller.
Yeah. If it can make money, I will sell it. I don't know. I'm not very discerning, I guess. My husband wants me to focus on being more profitable. So I've been trying to do that because I think my like average sale price has gone up over $30, which I think that's pretty good. It used to be like 15 to 17 for a long time. So
That's excellent.
I've really been trying to focus on getting my average sale price up because it's the same amount of work to sell something for $10 as it is to sell it for $50. So,
but you're out there hustling when your kids are at practice and when they're, when you're out running your errands, you're just working all this in.
Yeah.
I think it's very different when eBay is someone's, 100% of their focus goes towards eBay. And you said you don't keep a lot of items in your store.
I think this, like maybe 2 months ago, I finally got up over 400 listings again, which it's been probably 3 or 4 years since my listings were that high. But it's amazing how once I got that high, my sales instantly, I was back to selling 5, 6, 7 items a day. And then now it's been about a month and I've dropped down to 360 or something like that, and sales slow down considerably. I mean, eBay is like a monster, like green-eyed monster. When you're feeding it, it's feeding you. But when you slow down, which I'm fine with that.
Things are just weird right now with obviously gas prices and food prices and all those necessities we need. People are kind of hanging on to their money. But see, you can look at the other side of that and say, well, if they do need something, they can go to eBay and buy it used for way cheaper. Your part of your KitchenAid mixer breaks and you need a part or something like that, where a new one's going to be 2 to 3 times the cost of a used one. And I feel like if this continues for a while, we're going to get more and more new eBay buyers because they're going to be forced to think of ways to save money. And not give up, their favorite ththings in life. You can give up going out to eat, but you need clothes. And if you're going to go to the pool, you need a bathing suit. And I look at clothing as a consumable because it does have to be replaced, maybe not as frequently as other things, but that's what happened during 2020. A lot of new people came to eBay because you couldn't get things any other way. Everything was closed. You had to order online. So I paid attention to that and saw that I was selling to people who just opened their account that day or a week ago. And I feel like we're going to have another round of that once gas gets so out of control that, online shopping is going to pick up again. People aren't going to want to drive anywhere, all that kind of stuff. And fourth quarter, what's going to happen? They're going to be online shopping because who knows what our situation will be. So just a little rant is for the listeners too. But so don't feel like, oh, I'm never going to sell anything again because people are hanging on to their money. Look at it as, wow, I wonder how many new people are going to discover eBay and get that revelation that I can buy used and it's going to save money.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when it seems like sellers are hesitant to sell to buyers with zero feedback or brand new, but everyone started somewhere. They wouldn't be buying it if they were not there to get something they needed. So I don't know.
And we were talking before we started recording that I sold a little plush and the buyer sent me a handwritten thank you note in the mail, the regular mail. And I was like, who is this? I don't know anybody in this town. Is this junk mail that just looks like it's handwritten? And I
Yes.
open it up and I'm like, who is this person? And I start reading and I'm like, oh, she bought that ballerina bear. And the situation was her daughter had had one, and she's 26 now, and it's all ratty and falling apart. And she has this one on hand to give her for a birthday, or if she has a little baby daughter at some point, whatever. Like, she's thinking ahead. But I was her first eBay sale. Her one feedback is from me, and she couldn't have been more grateful and more happy, and to take the time to write me this beautiful note in cursive handwriting. That really impressed me. And I even went back on eBay and contacted her and just thanked her for that note and how it made my day. And I'm so glad I could provide that product for her. And obviously not all first sales are like that, but they could be.
Yes.
It's all about how you look at it.
When I don't know, occasionally I'll have a buyer who likes chatting back and forth and messaging me. And sometimes the messages are very unique and on topics that have nothing to do with the item that's being discussed. But I mean, it's free to be nice to people. I mean, I don't feel like people go out of their way to be as kind as maybe we should, or people maybe used to be. So
right.
trying to make the person feel valued. And I don't know, in some places, I feel like sellers are super critical of buyers, and they're just regular people like us. Just try and pay it forward and be kind to everyone, and it comes around.
Well, I like to treat my buyers the way I would treat a person standing in front of me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll do what you said, and, oh, I see you live in this town. Well, I've been there, and I've been to this restaurant, and I try to find something we have in common and just say, hey, have you ever heard of this? Or, my cousin lives there and is a teacher at this school, and just stuff like that, where you can just make conversation. And if they don't like it, they just won't answer. You don't have to tell your life story, but it's you make a connection when you try to find something in common. So anyway, now I want to get into this trip you have planned.
Oh,
you're going somewhere interesting.
On Sunday, we're going to Alaska.
To Anchorage.
It'll be fun. We're going to Anchorage. Yes. So I've never been. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Maybe going to a thrift store while I'm there.
And now you've never been to Alaska at all?
Nope. I've never gone.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful in the summer.
I think so. And we'll be there for the summer solstice next week. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if it stays light for 24 hours in Anchorage. I don't think it's that high north or far north, but I think it'll be pretty cool. I've heard the flowers and the vegetables and everything get so big because of all the sunlight. So I'm looking forward to seeing giant.
It's so green and so lush.
I bet. I can't wait.
That's what I've heard. That's on my bucket list. I actually stumbled across a show last week on Amazon Prime called A Year on Ice. It was about all the people who live in Antarctica.
Oh, I've seen that. That's so cool.
And the nature shots where you wouldn't think there would be a whole lot of nature down there, but it's mostly the sky and the stars and the aurora borealis, and just how beautiful and majestic it is down there. And I didn't even know that people lived there. I didn't know all that was going on.
I didn't either. It was so
just
neat.
Fascinating how they do things, and that these people would even want to be there because it's dark for 4 months.
Yes.
Great. And I'm like, that's like living on a submarine. You just never see the sun. It just doesn't reach there. So for the listeners, it's called A Year on Ice, Living in Antarctica. And it took the guy 10 years to make that documentary. He does a lot of
I don't remember that. That's cool.
Time-lapse photography of the sun and just the sky and the clouds. It's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah,
so,
it was really cool.
It's kind of the opposite.
I thought it was kind of scary that they only have ships that come in certain times. So you can't leave. There was no option to just go once the last ship left for winter. You're just stuck.
Yeah. And they have one doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading about Antarctica after I watched that because I was like so fascinated. And to be a doctor down there, you have to have your appendix removed before you go.
What?
Because they actually had a doctor down there who got appendicitis and he had to remove his own appendix, like with mirrors, and like he had to be awake. Obviously, he's doing an operation. So I'm like, wouldn't it just be easier to get two doctors?
Right?
But no. So you have to have your appendix removed. There's all these things like, how do you live down there? You have to think about it. And yeah, you can't just decide you don't like it and leave. You're stuck there.
It's a commitment for sure.
So and then I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if they order things off of eBay during the months that they can get mail, because there is a base down there, a military base. So you can only get mail certain times of the year when they can get it to you. So what would they buy?
Right.
What would they want?
Full socks.
Oreos and M&Ms.
Yes.
Yeah, so we really got off track there, but I was very excited to hear about your trip. So now I need to, I don't know if we're friends on Facebook, but we're gonna be, because I want to see all your pictures.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but keep an eye out for thrift stores. I know I've reached out to a couple of sellers that live in Alaska, but they just didn't feel comfortable coming on a podcast. So if anybody's listening in Alaska and wants to talk about it, let me know, because I know that there's sellers up there. So there's got to be thrift stores and other ways to get inventory.
I sold 2 pairs of swim trunks of my son's last week up there. So.
Oh, you did?
Fairbanks. They went to Fairbanks. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're just people living in other places that need stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. Okay. So the last question is, what kind of advice would you give to somebody just starting on eBay?
Watch all of Suzanne's videos.
Maybe not your super old ones.
Well, you're such a great resource, though. I mean, I've been following you probably for at least 8 years. And
thank you.
Your advice is always sound and very rational and reasonable. And I just really appreciate it. I appreciate your candidness and just the encouragement to treat eBay like a business and to always be professional. That's just been so valuable to me. Even I've had friends who have asked me in the past to help them learn how to sell on eBay, and I'll sit down and, go through how to list or how to look up solds and things like that. But then I really just add them to your Facebook group and send them a link to your YouTube videos. And I mean, I can't recreate the wheel. You've spent years and years developing all of your guidance for people, and it really is first class. I just appreciate the amount of time and energy you put into everything.
Well, thank you. Wonderful. I appreciate that. And that comes from having helped so many people trying to come up with a system, because there really is no system for learning eBay. And we've all tried to help people who appeared interested.
Right.
And then you invest many hours helping them.
And they don't ever do anything with it.
Like, I don't want to do this. Or
it's too much work.
They don't. It is a lot of unpaid hours up front, but that's being an entrepreneur. I mean, you look at any successful entrepreneur and they're driven by their passion for what they're doing and their belief in that it's going to work.
Yep.
So you got to have those two things. And if you don't, pretty much everyone in my family with my DNA, none of them are entrepreneurs. They don't get it. They're like, you aren't getting paid for that. I'm like, I know, but I have this idea. I'm going to do this thing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you just mark it off a list and you keep going.
Yep. And there's pride of ownership. I mean, you work so hard for something, and whether it succeeds or not, it's nice to see the product of your labor and your ideas coming to fruition. And I don't know, I feel like it's a very rewarding thing to do. And it's enabled me to stay home and take care of my kids. I mean, when I was in graduate school in 2003, I would have never thought in 2023, I was going to be sitting at home surrounded by a pile of junk and two kids doing math in the other room.
Yeah, some
would.
days I say to myself, like that mug that was a quarter of an inch not right. I say to myself, yeah, I went to college for this.
I know, right? I know. I occasionally will think of my relatives who are doctors and like, I couldn't be doing that. I'm like, well, they also have a lot more restrictions on their time. And I don't know, it's what works for me. And I would like to do, maybe spend more time someday when I have more time. I really enjoy what eBay gives and what I can give to eBay. And, but at this point I give what I can and take what I can, and we just kind of make it work and fit in. And I don't know, I like it. It's worth it. Give it a shot. There's definitely a learning curve.
I see your Ohio State behind you. What is your degree in?
Mount Rushmore.
Oh, okay, now I see it. Yeah.
I did my master's in, I think my official degree is in consumer sciences, but I did my research and stuff in personal finance education programs. So that was my area of interest, but I worked for the federal government for a few years after I finished that. And then our son was born and I decided to stay home and did go back to work for a couple of years in there, but this is what we're doing.
Hey,
I just
that's excellent.
realized like they are never going to be little again. I can redevelop a career someday if that's what I need to do. And it's hard to see my friends in their careers and things like that and not necessarily have that, but it's worth it. I just have to keep reminding myself.
Remember, people only show you what they want you to see.
Yeah.
And everybody has stuff that holds them back, mistakes they made, things they wish they did differently. And for a long time, that was me. I was a stay-at-home mom. I thought, I can't go enter the workforce again. I don't know how to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just tried learning different computer programs and sort of self-taught myself, Excel and all these different things. And, now looking back, I wouldn't have done it any other way because I didn't want to miss my kids growing up.
Yeah.
I tried putting my first one in daycare and I was miserable because I missed her all day. And it wasn't that I didn't think she was being taken care of. I just wanted to be with her.
Yep.
And so that was really before being a stay-at-home mom was cool. That was in the early 90s. So I thought, there's got to be other. When I got to where they were in elementary school and I started eBay and started the mentoring part, I thought, I bet there are thousands, if not millions, of other stay-at-home moms that felt exactly the same way I did when my kids were little. And I had left a well-paying job and had a college degree and to stay home and watch Barney and change diapers.
I know. And that's so true.
But you can't go back and do it over again. You get one shot at that. So I commend you for that. And I have a lot of respect for women that are stay-at-home moms, because if you've never done it, it is the hardest job you will ever do, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything.
Oh yeah. It's way harder than when I worked full time and took care of a 2-year-old in my off hours. It was so much harder.
Yeah. So I commend all those moms that are out there being at home with their kids, because it is very tough. So anyways, I told you that we could talk for a very long time. And yes. So we have been going about an hour.
Wow. That flew by. You were right.
I feel like next year, I'm going to have everybody on again and do a catch up of, well, tell us about your trip to Alaska.
Yes.
And tell us what, is going on here. And, because now we're friends because we've seen each other and we met each other virtually. And I'm going to want to know what you've been up to.
Exactly. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Okay. Well, thanks again for agreeing to come on and rescheduling. And, it was great to finally meet you, and we'll see you on the Facebook group.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
I just loved talking with Summer. She is so passionate about eBay. One correction about the documentary about Antarctica, I discovered that there is more than one doctor now because there were other situations where more than one doctor was needed. So just in case you're considering signing up for a job down in Antarctica, which I think the starting pay is like $80,000 a year, probably more now. The medical situation has greatly improved, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, we're going to move on to today's trivia question. What is the name of the shape of a Pringles potato chip? Here are your 5 seconds to think about it. Okay, here is a little backstory about potato chips found on a potato chip site. Yes, there is such a thing. Here's the backstory. Potato chips are such a popular snack that it's hard to imagine a time when there weren't a plethora of options to choose from. In 1939, though, chips were deemed non-essential and production was halted due to the war. Anyway, after the fighting stops, potato chips return and become more popular than ever before. Chip lovers had just one complaint at the time. They were too damn greasy and the bags were filled mostly with broken bits. In 1956, Procter & Gamble got to work solving the issue. They set out to create a perfect chip, enlisting the help of Frederick J. Baur, B-A-U-R, who was a chemist by trade and who also happened to be really good at math. He used a geometric formula to create a saddle-shaped chip that didn't break when properly packaged in a cylindrical vacuum-sealed can. Genius! And the shape is called a hyperbolic paraboloid. The definition of that is a doubly curved surface that resembles the shape of a saddle. That is, it has a convex form along one axis and a concave form on the other axis. That term again is hyperbolic paraboloid. That term again is hyperbolic paraboloid. So now you can impress all your friends the next time you are eating Pringles chips with them that you know the scientific name of the shape of that snack food. And if you want to know more, check out the History Channel series about the food that built America. It's the Chip Wars episode. I just find that series fascinating, learning the history of all these iconic foods. Okay, wow. I was just all over the place with random topics on this podcast. What can I say? I love talking to people. That wraps up another riveting episode of eBay the Right Way. Thank you, listeners. I appreciate you. And send in your stories. Maybe yours will be featured on a future podcast. My contact information is below. And I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.